Hello everyone. I guess in this era, virtually everybody knows how powerful of a tool the internet is and how vital internet connection is to everyone. But as good as it sounds, it's not very much easy to access to some people who must have at one point or the other, especially when traveling, experienced issues of poor internet coverage and all that. But I'm glad to tell you that with the power of blockchain, issues like that will soon become a thing of the past. But first, let's look at two very powerful user cases to drive home our point. Let's take, for instance, a traveler, John, who is always on the move. Let's assume John, of course, leaves his locality to another place. How can John make use of his previous internet service providers from his previous locality in the new place? Of course, they definitely would not have coverage in his new destination. Does it mean that John will not have any access to the internet during his stay in the new place? Our second case scenario, of course, will be Mary, who lives in a tourist destination, a popular tourist destination, where people come around most of the time to visit. Now, these tourists, of course, will require or need internet connection to probably take pictures and upload on the net, or do one thing or the other. But then again, their devices through which they use to access internet in their previous location may not exactly provide adequate internet coverage for them in that area. How then are they going to make use of internet? This is where, of course, Bandz comes into play. Bandz network aims to decentralize the internet by creating a global extranet with the power of blockchain technology. Bandz also gives users a room to share bandwidth and also sell bandwidth within the ecosystem. Taking a look at the Bandz white paper here, we can look at a brief overview of the problems internet service providers have, and of course how Bandz helps to eliminate these problems. In remote areas, some places are not profitable enough to receive internet. Bandz makes use of mesh networks to help extend customer base for internet service providers. And of course, this is a graph which shows internet coverage for a particular service provider. Another problem usually faced, of course, by the internet service providers, of course, they are usually tackled with problems of network congestion collapse. According to the white paper, it says it generally occurs at choke points in the network where total incoming bandwidth to the node exceeds outgoing bandwidth. The use of mesh networks incorporated in Bandz network helps to solve this issue. Peer-to-peer traffic is also another big issue which internet service providers face. Mesh networks and bandwidth sharing allows ISP customers to step in with excess digital commodities and resources. Security also is another big point of Bandz. It's wonderful VPN, which is virtually more better than the conventional VPN used nowadays, of course, helps to secure and protect networks from attacks while maintaining a balance. Now, we should also know that the internet service providers are not the only ones which are liable to gain from the use of Bandz. Of course, individuals and customers also have numerous benefits to draw from the use of Bandz. Now, going back to our previous user case scenarios, John, the traveler, who may have limited access to the internet, which the use of Bandz can buy bandwidth from users willing to sell when incorporated to the Bandz network, instead of roaming, which is usually very expensive and has likely been the only option in the past. Bandz allows users like John to buy bandwidth which is suitable for them within their stay for a cheaper price. How about Mary, who lives in a tourist destination? Mary, of course, is an inhabitant of the said location. When tourists who come around that place discover that they have limited access to the internet or zero internet coverage from their previous ISPs, Mary can bounce on this opportunity to sell bandwidth to these new users while gaining BNZ tokens, which are of course the digital assets or the currencies used in the Bandz ecosystem. This way, Bandz is able to solve problems of no internet coverage, while also maintaining high security and giving customers lower cost rates. It is also very important that we understand the concept of virtual private networks. According to the white paper, it says the global VPN market is worth over $1 billion, $1 billion today. What are virtual private networks? Virtual private networks are what people use to secure or to censor their internet activities, to build a firewall around it, or sometimes to hide their location. Many a times people get the notion that VPNs are often used for illegal and dubious means, but however it is not really the case most of the time. Companies also use VPN most of the time to prevent unauthorized access within their intranet. But then again, most of the VPN providers nowadays require users to fill in their details. For me and for many others, this of course defeats the purpose of virtual private networks, which of course are meant to be for users who want to be anonymous. So why then do users need to provide their details in order to buy these services? Many a times these user details are usually sold by these vendors against the user's wish. This is also where Bandz comes into play. The use of Bandz VPN is much more, or provides much more security than other conventional virtual private networks. It does not require users security details. They also do not sell or commercialize user details, as user security is the bane of their operation. Recall that we previously said that Bandz requires the use of mesh networks to decentralize the internet. What then are mesh networks? According to the white paper, mesh networks are a group of smart devices which connect to each other's Wi-Fi so that internet ranges and accessibility can be improved. Of course, these devices participate independently on their own without any form of dependency on one node. They relay information from one of course to the other. There is no dependency, which is how of course decentralization is attained. Remember at the beginning of this video, we said Bandz network aims to decentralize the internet by creating a global extranet with blockchain technology rather. Many people usually interchange, or rather mix up the concept of intranet and extranet. So it is very, very paramount that we get this cleared up. Here we say intranets are private networks accessible only to members of said networks. Intranets serve an organization's digital communication needs. They also provide a secure space for storing, accessing, and developing electronic materials, while extranets are intranets that allow access to authorized set of external users as determined by the members of that intranet without granting full access to the intranet itself. Let's take for example a firm, of course an insurance firm per se, Its intranet, of course, will only contain members of the organization which has access to certain data of the said company. Now, that insurance company may have an auditing firm which carries out auditing services for it. When it's time for that auditing firm to carry out probably a contract for the insurance firm, they incorporate the auditing firm as part of its extranet so that they can access certain data which they might need to carry out their projects. So as it stands in that case scenario, the members of the insurance company is what makes up the intranet, while both the members of the company and that of the auditing firm makes up the extranet. I hope you get the logic now. A very important question: how can one participate or integrate on the Bandz network? As a provider, one needs to run, as a service provider, one needs to run a Bandz node on their device. It may work on Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, and ARM devices as of now. One may also integrate their existing app or product with Bandz software development kit, which helps, of course, to monetize digital assets by running a Bandz node on the user's behalf. As a consumer, you need to run a Bandz node or join a Bandz pool. We believe Bandz pool will naturally form a bandwidth buyer, allowing these buyers to enter the Bandz network without having to run a Bandz node and interact in Bandz at all. Note that using a Bandz pool will expose your traffic to the pool operator at the end-to-end encryption Bandz provides happens when traffic enters a Bandz node. So that's basically all we'll be able to take for now as regards Bandz. But before we round up, let's take a look at the wonderful team of experts which have been able to put this brilliant innovation together. Of course, headed by the CEO Shakil Mohammed and the visionary and CEO personnel Victor Zelilaj, Evans Virid, co-founder and CMO Ben Isambet, Tony Compton, CFO, and many other advisors. Of course, these are the high intellect personnel which have been able to bring to us this wonderful innovation. That will be all we can take about Bandz. Of course, interestingly, Bandz will be holding an airdrop which you can follow using this link, airdropalert.com/airdrop/Bandz-exclusive-airdrop. To learn more about this project, you can visit their website at www.bandz.network/Bandz, or you can join the conversation on either of Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, or join the discussion on Reddit. If you want to learn more or read comprehensively about this project, you can download the white paper using the said link. Thank you for watching.